So we started filtering our database. So I was working with AdventureWorks. So we started filtering our data. I said that when we say select asterisks from system.tables, it means select everything. And then we could also do a custom select where we say select and then we specify the columns that we want to use. So we did a custom select of some columns. And then we also put in condition using the where clause. So we talked about the wildcards characters where we can filter using specific characters. So we used the percentage sign to filter. We use the percentage sign to filter our characters. So we say when the characters start with A and then we have the percentage sign, it means that we want to filter all characters that start with A but have other characters afterwards. We also looked at other type of wildcards also, and we ended that class on a note where we actually talked about using the select statement. So today we're going to talk about still continuing because we have a lot of things we could achieve using the DQL, which is data query language. We're just going to look at some other functions we can use with the select statement. So we looked at custom reading of our table. So we've also looked at using wildcards. So today we are going to start by looking at how to order a table using the order by clause. So I just connected to my database now. I'm just going to connect again. Connected now. Then I'm going to choose the database I want to work with. I'm just going to choose 2022. And just to give us like an overview of what we talked about the other time, I said sys.tables is going to show us the tables that we have in this current database. So these are the tables that I have in my current database. So using the order by, just going to say order by.
Sorry, I'm only seeing one screen. I'm not seeing what you are typing.
When you're saying one screen, can you tell me what?
Like, I'm just seeing a table, Adventure of 2019, 2022, and Adventure of 2019. That kind of graph. And
can you see where my code is written?
no. Okay, yes now.
Okay. So I'm going to choose a table from one of this. I'm just going to choose one of these tables. I'm going to choose a sales table. Let me see which one I can choose. I'm going to choose this sales order detail. I'm going to say select everything from sales dot this sales order detail. Just going to run this. So this is what we have in sales order detail. I have my sales order ID. I have the sales order detail ID, the quantity, the units price, the line total, and thereabout. So what I want to do is that I want to sort out this unit price in ascending order and descending order so that I can know the value or the period that has like the highest unit count, the ones that has the lowest unit count. So to do that, I'm just going to copy what I have here paste it right here, but this time I'm just going to select few columns. I'm going to select mine. But before I do that, because this table, the name is kind of very long, I want to create an alias uh for this table, so that in 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 place of having to say sales order detail every time, I can just say SOD. So now, anytime I want to call this table within my query, I'm just going to call it SOD. So I'm going to say order by, and then the name of the column, which is units price. And I run this now, you now see that my unit price is now starting from 1.32. So by default, the ordering was done in ascending order. So it's starting from the least to the highest. But if I wanted it to be done in descending order, all I have to do is to specify DESC here. And when I rerun this, it then starts from the highest value, which is 3,578. So just to repeat that again, if I wanted to order in ascending order, all I have to do is just to put in my order by, and then either leave this blank or just say press ASC like this. And then the values are now arranged in ascending order. And if I wanted to, use descending order, I just change it to DESC, and it comes back in descending order. So that being said, we can also arrange by multiple columns. For example, I have unit price, I have my line total. So if you look closely at unit price and line total, you'd see that they have something in common, which is basically the same thing. So it's basically the unit price. Unit price is basically the same thing with the line total. But let's say that, let me see if we can use something else. I don't want to use unit price and line price because line total, because it's basically the same thing. So I'm going to look for another column where I can do that. It's going to say select everything from my, let me see, sales dot customer, and I run this. So let me see, do you have anything interesting going on here? No. I'm gonna choose another one. Salesperson. Okay, I think this one makes sense. So I'm just going to use this one to arrange using multiple columns. So I could say select everything from here, or I need it to order by. Of course, I can write it on the same line. You can say order by, and then I want to order by the sales quota, comma, and the sales year YTD, whatever that means. So if you look at this now, this is now in ascending order. But if I say in descending order, this null values comes first, and this other value, because this is a 0, then it takes priority of the next one, which is 559,000. So it repeats that first. So the next one is then 42. So it then takes 250,000. So that's in descending order, which means these are the highest value. It takes this as the highest value first preference, and then it takes this as the next value that is being considered. So after that, so which means that the highest value from this side and then the highest value from this side gets to follow each other. So this can be a bit complicated if you don't know the order of how SQL is really sorting this out. But it takes both of these column as a condition to arrange in the multiple column selection using the order by statement. Now, that being said, we could also group by the value of something that is maybe a category that we have or something. Let me see if we have a category in this particular one. No, we don't. Do we have a category here? We don't. Let me see where we have categories. I'm just gonna say select what is human resources, the employee. We should have categories here. Yes, we do. We do have categories there. Job title. So what category would do is that I want to know, because I have about 290 rows in this particular table. I want to know how many staffs have we got in each of these job titles: scheduling assistant, janitor, human resource manager, recruiter, account manager, and stuff. I want to know, number of employees we have in each of those. So I'm gonna say select everything from here, and I want to group by the name of this column, which is job title. Now, if I run this like this is gonna give me an error, and I'm gonna tell you what that error means. So this is saying it cannot group this table because it does not know what you want to do with the other columns that cannot be grouped. So what does that mean? Let me show you something. So what it's saying is that you want me to group this particular column, right? But what do you want me to return for these other ones that cannot be grouped? So what do I want to return for these other values I cannot group? So we need to tell SQL how we want it to treat the values. Do you just want to group the title? Do you want to count something? You need to specify what we want to do. So because we are saying select everything, so it can select everything while still counting the total, the job total. So it's kind of contradicting each other. So what we want to do is that we want to say it should count. It should count this and then group this by what we have. So when I run this now, it's now telling me that a certain column has 2 counts. Some has 1, some has 2, some has 3. But we are also not able to pinpoint which job title has 2 persons and then which one has 1, which one has multiple. So what I also want to do is to select the column where I have the job title. So I'm going to say job title, and then I want to have the count of each of those job titles so that I can have a total representation of what this data means. So I'm saying accountant, I have two accountants, I have account manager, one person, I have accounts payable specialist, two persons, receivable specialist, three persons. So now I'm able to put a picture behind what these values are. And of course, my new column now has no column. So I might want to do something about that, probably give it a name or something. So if I want to give it a name, I can set it as, and then put the value to it, maybe 5%. So it makes sense now. I can say accountant to account manager to or one or thereabout. And I can decide to, arrange in ascending order, descending order, so I can see what job titles have the most employees in them. So to do that, I'm just going to say order by. And what I want to do is to order by times. And I want this to be in descending order. So before I move further, I want to tell us about the order of operation of this particular block of code. Now, if I run this command here, I'm just going to copy this out. Just going to copy this, paste this here, just use this, and then get this out of the way. I put an asterisk. So if I run this now, we discover that I do not have this count here. So you might assume that the count, when I said count this as count, and it was displaying count for me, you might assume that count is now automatically added as a column in my table, which is far from the truth. Count is in here, in this context, count is just a variable which only exists when I run this block of code. So it doesn't mean that count is now a column in my table. No. Don't forget that I'm using select statement. And select statement is only meant to read the contents from your table. It does not manipulate the data you have in that table. So which means that this is only just customizing the information being read from this table. It doesn't manipulate the results, the entries that are in your table. So what this result means is that we have production technician WC50 has 26 count. So 26 people have these job titles. And then we can see that some position have just one person, which I believe should be so. Vice president should be one person, finance manager, manager scheduler, master scheduler, senior design engineer, they are all one person job title. So let me give us a recap of what we've talked about so far. We have used the group by to filter our data using descending and ascending order. We have also used the group by to group our data into specific groups using the top job title in this context. And we have counted the number of frequency of each job title that we have in our table. Other times it might not be counts that you want to do, it might be average, sum, minimum, maximum, and what have you. So I'm just going to read this again and see if we can do some of those. So here now we have sick leave hours and vacation. We can get the average number of vacation hours somebody has taken, and the sick leave hours that that's also being taken. So I'm just going to say the maximum here, the maximum sick leave hours. Just going to say sick leave hours here, and I'm just going to not use any of this, but I'm going to run this. So the maximum sick leave hours that's been taken, I'm just going to name this sick leave. Is 80 hours. Okay, so we can also group by, but then use this. So let me try to group by and use this as the context. Just going to. So what I want to do next now is that I want to get the total sum of vacation hours that has been taken in the office and the total number of sick hours that has been taken by each department. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to say I want to get the sum of the vacation hours or sick leave or something. I'm going to run this. So we can now say that each of these job titles, this is the number of sick leave hours they are taking over time. And the highest is 1,287. So you can also get the average. You can also get the average. It's expectable that it's still the same department because they have more people in them. Okay, this time the average is the chief executive officer taking like the highest sick leave hours. That's interesting. So you can get the minimum, the department that's getting the minimum. I'm just going to say because I want to know the department that's actually getting the minimum. Still the same department as getting the minimum. So you can perform aggregate functions. You can perform our group, you can use our group by using aggregate functions, mean, average, count, max, and a whole lot of other ones. So when you are using group by, always ensure that you are using it with an aggregate function. Otherwise, it's going to return back an error. Another interesting function that we can use is distinct with count. So I'm going to just run this. I'm just going to copy this guy, paste it elsewhere, and I'm going to run this. Though at the moment, I don't think we have any duplicates. We don't have any duplicates. All of these seem to be unique values. So let me see if we can get a duplicate from an entry or something. So if we wanted to get the distance count of all the job titles, I'm just going to copy this, paste it right here, and I'm going to say distance. Distance, if I could get that correctly. Distance, and then count. So if I get a distance count of everything, I have 290 records here. But if I wanted to get the distinct count of job titles, then I also have 290. So which means I do not have duplicate entry in this particular resource employee. So all the records that there are unique values. That's what this means. But um in other tables that might not be so. So today we've covered distance counts, we've talked about order by, we've talked about aggregate function, mean, max, count, sum, average. So we're going to look at the keyword in. So we've talked about still how to select using queries, the DQL, which is using the query select data query language. And sometimes we want to select values that are more than one variable. What do I mean by that? So let's say, for example, now I've just read this and I want to select records from this table that are buyer, janitor, and stocker. I'm just going to put this three so that I can be able to. I'm just going to bring them out like this. So I want to select all three. And I know that by default, when I want to select this, I would say, select everything from human resource dot employee, right? Where my job title is equal to, and then I start specifying buyer, right? I'm gonna copy this separately, paste it right here, and put the janitor. Then copy this again, paste this right here, and put the stopper. So this is what this would literally mean when I want to select all the values. But there's an SQL method that allows you to select multiple values using just one SQL query, which is the in operator. So using the in operator, I can select all of this in just one go. So which means that I can say, in place of writing all of this separately, I can say select everything from, and then it's human resource dot employee, right? And then I got my web clause again, where my job title in, and then I can list all of this out now. Get rid of this slide. So when I run this now, I have the combination of everything. The stocker first, the buyer next, and then the janitor, just one. Look, I have a couple of 3, 4, and then about 9 thereabout. So I've been able to combine the 3 where clause select statement into just one select statement. So this is useful when you're trying to read multiple variables in just one select statement without having to repeat your select statement. Do we have any question before now? Oh, sorry, yeah.
Sorry, I just want to ask, sir.
Yes.
This statement you did now, can we call it nested function?
No, this is not a nested function.
Okay.
a nested function would have maybe an if statement, sorry, a where statement in another, in like this right now. We could basically have another select statement in here as a nested function, but this is not a nested function.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you have any other question?
No, for now.
Okay. So another operator that we can use apart from the in is a between. Just that the between allows you to select value between just two range. And basically we use this for numeric values. We can use the between for text and date also, but most times you find it's being used for numeric values, but it can also be used for text and dates. So if I wanted to use a between, I'm just going to use this vacation hours as a case scenario. So I can say maybe select everything from human resource employee. I'm gonna select where my vacation hours between maybe 50 and 75. So what this is going to do is that it's going to fetch all the records of our employee that have taken vacation hours between 50 to 75. So if you look at this column, you'd see that we would only find the ones that are between 50 to 75. We're not going to find anyone greater than that 75 threshold. So the minimum being 50 and then the maximum being 75. So you can see 50 is a count, 75 is also a count. We can also negate our values. We can say we don't want this selection to be selected. So we don't want values that are between 50 to 75, which means we want to have values that are before 50 and values that are after 70. So to negate this, I'm just going to say not, and then I'm going to run this. And now this is going to return other values that are less than 50 and the ones that are greater than 75. So it's just going to exempt this part, the 50 to 75 part. We can decide to also combine these two together. If I wanted to combine these two together, I could say maybe select everything from maybe this. And then I'm going to say this right here. Right. And this right here. So what this basically means is that I'm testing two conditions. I'm saying only return janitor or stocker or buyer that have not spent working hours between 50 to 75. So the AND operator will only return results where this condition is true and this condition is also true. So in real sense, for all the results that has been returned, the jobs in janitor, stocker, and buyer has to be true. Job title, and the vacation also has to be true. So that's how the AND operator works. And for true to be true, for a condition to be true or for a statement to be true, all conditions has to be true. But if one condition is false and the other one is true, then the result is false. Just like our computer studies that we used to do back in the day. And if one result is true and the other one is false, then the result will also. And if it's false, false, then it's false also. So for this particular one, if you look at the vacation hours, you see that I only have values that are greater than this because there was no janitor, there was no buyer that had working hours between 50 to 70. So, and then we did not have these values for, some of these other conditions also, because when we ran this particular code, just want to run this again, we had 16 entries. When we ran this one, we had 212 entries. But when we now said that we want both conditions to be satisfied, we only had 7 entries. So it's only going to return records where this condition is met and this condition is also met. So if one of these conditions is met, it's not going to return it. It has to be both of this condition. But if we change this and to or, and we run it, then we probably have that 212 result. Because now we are saying if one condition is, sorry, 221 result. Because now we are saying if one result is true, just return it. It doesn't have to be both condition that is true. Once one is satisfied, then you can return the answer. So that's the difference between and is going to ensure that all conditions are true before returning the answers. We all only need one of these to be true for the results to be returned. Are we on the same page?
Yeah, we're on the same page. We'll just probably look at the video again when you're done.
And then I wanted to say something about count here, the order of operation, before I hit that part. So the order of operation here, because now I'm saying order by count and then descending order. But then count is not part of my table. So this count, the order of operation is that this from, I'm just going to break this down. I'm going to call this order of operation. So which means how is SQL running this command? The command starts from here because it has to first verify that the table is correct. So if you have labeled a wrong table, this is where the error is just going to shoot it out and say this table is not found, is not, does not exist. So it's going to check the table first, which is from. Then it's going to group by, which is the next one. Then it is going to run this part, which is a select statement. Then it is now going to perform this part. So even though my count is not in my table, but because the count here has been created in the system memory, it is able to use that count here as a variable name. I'm going to repeat that again. My mode of operation is, my order of operation is the table name first, the group by, the select statement, and the order by. So what I'm trying to pinpoint here is that even though count does not actually exist in my real table, it still got accepted as a variable name to print out from. That's because in the system memory, a variable name has been created, some sick leave hours as count, before this order by line of code was executed. So this count already exists in the system memory before this block of code was executed. So that's why I can say count in this regard. But if I had used the order by before the group by, then it would not have recognized it because my count would not exist in the system memory. I don't know if that makes sense to us. So well, I'm going to leave you to practice what we have done today so that you can be confident about what we've done today. So the next time we meet, we're going to talk about the difference between having and or the where clause. And then we're also going to talk about joins. So we have different kinds of joins. We have inner join, left, right, left join, right join, full join, self join. We have union all. So in our next lesson, we are going to look at each of these joins and how it works. So I need you to spend the remaining time, run the codes like we worked on it, like the way we've worked on it, ask questions where you find it a bit tricky.